Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. It is week 2 of the college football slate. We were very privileged, I guess, to get a great week 1 slate. Some great games. Week 2, a little bit weaker, but we got some games we want to highlight. Before we do that, let's jump back to week 1. James, I know you got some notes, some things you want to talk about, so I'm going to pass it right on over to you.
Yeah, so we started out with a pretty decent upset, I'll say. This is the post-Genty era of Boise State, still ranked 25 at the time. Um, yeah, I didn't realize that South Florida was going to be this good, but South Florida manhandled Boise State and did not make them look good. So South Florida might be a team uh, not to mess with because they actually looked pretty solid. But I thought that was a big deal just because just last year, Boise State was a playoff team and they had a bye. Granted, they lost arguably the one of the best players in college football in Genty, but yeah, Boise State fans not happy. Um, we then got to go into big noon kickoff in college game day with Texas Ohio State. And as far as a football game goes, it was a great game if you're a fan of defense. Defense was definitely the calling card. Arch had a rough go of it. I feel bad for the guy because he's taken a lot of heat, and it's like, okay, he was the backup to Quinn Ewers last year. Yes, he started a couple games. He showed promise, and I think overall he's going to be fine. All these naysayers, just give it a couple more weeks, and we'll probably look back, and it's like the guy had to go into the horseshoe and play like the best defense in all of college football. So sure, he missed passes here and there. It was also week 1. He had some jitters. I think he'll be fine. Fun stat though: the defending national champs have won the last 3 meetings, opening the season against the #1 team in the country. So hats off to Ohio State. We saw the Bayou Tigers top the Clemson Tigers in Brian Kelly's first opening season win at LSU. That's crazy. Um, so LSU, you now have the true Death Valley. Clemson, you're number 2. Florida State stunned Alabama. And Sean, I know we've talked about this a little bit, but I'm just gonna hand it over to you to let you discuss this one. I know you have some thoughts on Florida State.
Yeah, I mean, the big question is really going to be over these next few weeks: is Florida State this good, or is Alabama this bad? I mean, out of all the games I watched this weekend, I know we're going to still talk about Notre Dame, Miami. We're going to still talk about a few other games that you're going to mention, but the ones Ohio State and um, Texas and even Clemson, LSU, a lot of these top 10 matchups were like, even the team that lost and the team that won, you're like, yeah, there's little things here that are going to get fixed in the next few weeks. These are young kids, but these are really good teams that are going to find their way into the playoff picture or definitely into a playoff spot later in the year. So there's not a lot of worry there for me for Texas, even Clemson. It's like, okay, I can see where these teams are going and stuff like that. Alabama's problems are they're problems, and they're problems that date back to last year that haven't been fixed. And I know we were talking earlier in the week, and it's going to be interesting to see what Alabama does because DeVore now has as many losses for against non-ranked opponents that Saban did in his whole tenure at Alabama, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's an
So,
insane stat.
I mean, I know it goes to show how great Saban was, but at the exact same time, this Alabama team is not very good, and they've got some massive issues. And it's amazing because you don't really see a team go from 8 to 24. I know these are preseason rankings and stuff like that, but this Alabama team is going to struggle in the SEC. There's just too many glaring holes, and we'll see how good this Florida State team is. They're definitely better than their 2-10 record last year. Don't get me wrong, but Florida State at times could do whatever they wanted, and Alabama couldn't complete a 6-yard pass. Exactly the same problem they had last year. So it's going to be interesting to see. And out of all the takeaways that a lot of people had from week 1, I saw a lot of them being kind of minor and just kind of like Texas is still in the running. Texas is still very good. Texas is going to figure it out. Alabama, I don't think is going to figure it out.
No, this does not look like the prototypical Alabama that we've seen for the last 20 years, which I also want to say that's insane to think that, between all the coaches they've had, and obviously with Nick Saban being their last one, that they've been such a dominant program. So, to all you Alabama fans out there, welcome to reality. This is what
Yeah.
most colleges go through. It's funny that they're all freaking out because they lost to Florida State, but I mean, yeah, it sucks. So, sometimes you got to rebuild. Not every year is Alabama's year, so um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they play the rest of the season out. But like you said, I don't think it's going to be very positive. And as for Florida State, I think Tommy Castellanos, which
Hmm.
also one thing I think is very strange, he wants to be called Castellanos when typically two L's make a Y in Spanish, but whatever. You'd think it'd be Castellanos, but okay, Castellanos. I think he's legit. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think Florida State's actually gonna be pretty good.
Yeah.
Speaking of Alabama, Alabama transfer Justice Haynes transferred to Michigan, and he had a great debut. Michigan won, and Justice Haynes ran for 159 yards and 3 touchdowns. And to me, that was kind of one of the bigger performances of the week. I don't think the game itself was all that great, but I just wanted to highlight that Michigan is hopefully Michigan's back. We saw K State squeak out a win against North Dakota. Not to be confused with NDSU, North Dakota State, who's actually really good, but North Dakota. Um, that would have been a really bad loss for K State. That would have dropped them down to 0-2, probably out of the running for the Big 12 title. Uh, but yeah, it took an Avery Johnson touchdown like with 40 seconds left to win that game, and maybe K State's not as good as we thought they were. Utah, however, speaking of the Big 12, crushed UCLA in Nico Iamaleava's home opener. UCLA did not look good at all, and Utah looked great with their brand new UNM transfer quarterback in. Nah, I'm blanking on his name. Well, whatever. I can't think of it. Anyways, he transferred from UNM. He looked pretty solid. You mentioned Miami Notre Dame. Miami won. It was a great game. This is Miami's first win over a top 10 team in nearly 8 years. So
Yeah.
uh, they almost flubbed it too. They were trying their hardest to give Notre Dame that win. I thought Carr for Notre Dame looked okay, um, but I'm curious to see how Notre Dame does the rest of the year. I think they're really going to have to lean on Jeremiah Love and their defense to pull out some of these games because Carr will probably have some up and down performances. And to end it, we had the super highly anticipated Monday night game where after one drive, we all thought, "Oh my God, UNC, they're title contenders." Michael Jordan's excited. Roy Williams is excited. Lawrence Taylor's excited. They even panned over to Belichick's girlfriend, Jordan Hudson. Man, UNC's back, and I don't even know if I want to say back because where are they coming back from? It's not like they've ever been great at football. Um, and then we saw TCU just absolutely annihilate them.
Yeah.
So yeah, they got humbled. TCU, I think, is one of the better teams in the Big 12. And yeah, that's a wrap on the notes I have from week one.
Sweet. All right, we'll just jump right into week two. As I said, week two slate a little bit weaker than week one. That seems to happen from time to time during these early season matchups. There's usually a week in there that's like, oh, this is not so great, but still got five out of it, and still worth watching in my opinion. Um, we'll start off with a rivalry, and a rivalry game that always seems to happen in the first few weeks of the season. Iowa heading to Iowa State.
Yeah, I'm taking Iowa State just because it's at home. I think Rocco Beck is a good quarterback, and they already have a really good win under their belt in K State. I know that was in Dublin, and K State honestly isn't looking as good as we maybe thought K State would be. But at least it's a Power Four opponent, and they just have another game under their belt. This is going to be Iowa State's third game, so I'm taking Iowa State.
I'm taking Iowa State for a lot of the same reasons. Yeah, they've just looked better, and yeah, they already have the K State win underneath their belt. I think they continue the momentum, and I'll take Iowa State. Um, I will say though, Iowa was able to score, which was weird last week. I have to say that they threw up some points. That
That
was
SDSU
yeah,
quarterback transfer, Mark Granowski or whatever his name is.
yeah. I know they played like Albany or something, but hey, it was weird watching them score. Um, Mississippi heading to Kentucky.
Let me go back real
Oh,
fast. Simulation has
oh yeah, I forgot about
Iowa State 30, Iowa 27. So Iowa State
that.
winning
Okay,
by 3.
okay. Forgot about the computer there for a moment. Um, Ole Miss heading into Kentucky. If you guys don't remember last year, Kentucky actually upset Ole Miss down in Mississippi. Kind of messed up their playoff bid. Who do you got this year?
I'm taking Ole Miss. I think Lane Kiffin is still just a better coach. I couldn't even tell you who the Kentucky coach is, to be honest. Uh, no Jackson Dart, who was one of the best quarterbacks in all of college, but Ole Miss looked pretty damn good offensively still this past week. So yeah, I think Ole Miss goes into Kentucky and does what Kentucky did to them in Ole Miss last year and just returns the favor. So I'm taking Ole Miss.
Yeah, I'm going to take Ole Miss as well. Not too much to add there, but what does the computer summary simulation have?
Yeah, so the video game had Ole Miss 42, Kentucky 26. So Ole Miss
Scoring.
winning pretty handedly.
Okay. Another match, another rivalry game we got going on here. Kansas heading to Missouri. I know this is going to be highly watched in your household.
Oh yeah, Ashley's already freaking out about it because of how much he hates Missouri. Um, I'm taking Kansas. I think Jalen Daniels has looked really good. And honestly, kind of the similar thing I said for Iowa State. This is going to be Kansas's third game.
Hmm.
Um, Granted, they haven't really played. They played Fresno State and like Wagner last week. But I think that extra game just helps with the repetition for these kids and just having another game under your belt doesn't hurt you in any way. It's going to be tough. They're going to Missouri, but I think Kansas pulls it out. I think Jalen Daniels has that magic back in him. So um, yeah, I'm taking Kansas because I actually think they can, and so I don't get in a fight with my wife.
I like Daniels as well, and that's actually why I'm going to take Kansas. Helps that this is their third game as well. I think it's going to be a tough task heading into Missouri, but it is a rivalry game. So um, I'll take Kansas. So not much more to add about that one. I'm also a little down on the SEC, especially kind of not the top of the SEC, but the middle bottom of the SEC. I'm a little down on it this year. And Missouri kind of fits in that middle. Um, so I'm going to take Kansas. So
Uh, Ashley, I hope you're not listening because the simulation has Mizzou winning 46-21
jeez, a lot of scoring going on in the
in the video
simulation
game.
world.
Yep.
Yeah, damn. Um, this is going to be an interesting one. On paper, this seems like it's a no-brainer, but ASU heading to Mississippi State. ASU now ranked 10, I believe, in the polls. Mississippi State unranked, but the Vegas line only has ASU favored by 6.
They didn't look good against NAU. It took a lot of Sam Levitt and his legs to kind of pull out that win. Um, for a team that is getting heralded as this great football program, and they made the college football playoff, and they almost took down Texas behind Cam Scadaboo. Um, yeah, they just didn't prove it to me really last week. I'm still taking them to win, just because I think Mississippi State is like kind of the doormat of the SEC. But Vegas knows all somehow, and it's only a 6 point line. Um, so it might be closer than we think. I'm still going to take ASU though.
I'm going to take ASU too, but I think this game's going to be close. I think I don't think ASU is as good as they were last year. The NAU matchup last week kind of proved that. I'm going ASU. I'm going to go ASU, but I think this is going to be closer than people think. Um,
Well,
good match.
simulation
Oh,
simulation did not think that. Simulation has ASU 35, Mississippi State 13.
okay. So yeah, not close at all. All right. Um, Really, the only top 25 matchup of the week is the one we're going to talk about next. Michigan heading to Oklahoma. Two teams that last year kind of downers, looking for a bounce back season here. Who do you got?
Yeah, this game's interesting to me. You have Bryce Underwood, freshman starter for Michigan. You have John Mateer, transfer from Washington State for Oklahoma. He looked really good. He's also in like his third or fourth year. Um, but the deciding factor for me is Michigan always has a pretty stout defense. Oklahoma had a little bit of a rough transition to the SEC, and I'm really high on this Alabama transfer, Justice Haynes. So I think the ground and pound, um, kind of Jim Harbaugh approach, if you want to say,
Mhm.
for Michigan, even though he's not there anymore, uh, gets the job done, and they win at in Norman. So I'm taking Michigan.
Yeah, I really wanted to take Oklahoma in this one, but I just feel like Michigan is got more talent at this point and has more ability, more ways to win. I liked what Michigan. I know Michigan didn't kill who they played in week one, but they won. Um, I just have this in the overall conference feel has shifted so much. The Big Ten feels so much better than the SEC for some reason, and I don't know how that's happened in just 2 years. But like that's the other reason why I'm circling Michigan here is those upper tier Big Ten teams, which I'll put Michigan in. I think is way better than these middle of the pack SEC teams at this point. So I'm going to take Michigan.
Simulation had a absolute frenzy in this game. This game went to double overtime, and Oklahoma squeaked it out with a 2 point conversion win, 45-43.
A lot of scoring going on over there. All right, well, we'll see how we do. I did terrible last week. I went 0 for 5, so hopefully I get at least one right this week. Improvements. But stepping away from college football for a second, something very deep into the college football culture is tailgating, and we are going to be talking about our top five tailgating foods, something that is great this time of the year. Um, so, do you want to go with your number five and work your way
Yeah,
up,
let's
or
just
do you
kind
want
of
to
go
go?
back and forth.
We'll go back and forth. Okay, let's go with number five first
So
for
my
you.
number five, uh, this is more for later in the season when the weather cools down. It gets a little chilly outside. My number five is chili. Um, I think when there's that like crispness in the air, it's like a November, maybe late October. Tailgating no matter where you are in the country, I guess. Nothing like a warm bowl of chili to warm you up, and you can throw so many different toppings in it too. I think it makes for a pretty easy tailgating option. And you can just, I mean, you can get one of those big ass, uh, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, Not a
I,
jug,
yeah, I
not
know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
not a pan. What's the other? What do you make chili in? I guess you can make it
Pot,
in
pot,
like a pot.
pot.
Yeah, pot.
Yeah,
Get a
yeah.
big pot, or maybe throw a little. Have a couple slow cookers going. Yeah, I'm going chili number five.
So for my number five, I'm just going to go with a classic, and it just didn't feel right not having it there. I'm going with the burger. Um, Classic burger, just it has to be on the top five in my opinion. So it's going in my five spot. Burgers are good anywhere, but tailgating, love a burger. So
So my number four is burgers, and I put slash hot dogs. I feel like
okay.
there's always those people who want the hot dogs or want a burger and a dog. So I put burgers and hot dogs together because you always take a burger on your plate, and then you throw another hot dog on your plate too. So I'm putting burgers and hot dogs number four.
Yeah, so my four, I put wings, all kinds of different wings. I just feel like that's a classic football food and really good. The one thing I don't like about wings, I like the boneless wings because at least like you don't have something you gotta like hold or like figure out how to throw away. So when I'm at a tailgate, I like the boneless ones. I know it's kind of controversial. Everyone likes the bone in, but I like the boneless. Um, but yeah, wings. Wings go at number four for me.
So there's a trend here. My number three is wings. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna. I'm more of a bone in. I've had too many interesting calls uh, in bathroom scenarios with boneless.
Oh, damn.
My
Okay.
stomach, my stomach, I feel like just takes the bone in better.
Okay.
I don't know, and I don't mind boneless here and there, but the thought of no bone being in there and just like crunched up meat all together, it's like a big, basically a big chicken McNugget. But there are good places that have good boneless wings. That's not to say that not all boneless wings are bad. I'm just looking at you, Buffalo Wild Wings. So
Yep. I haven't been there in a while. I'll be shocked if you have my three at your two. My three is kind of narrowed down, but pulled pork sliders, but anything really with the pulled pork. I'll take pulled pork sandwich. I was putting the sliders so they like, getting the Hawaiian rolls and piling those things on and kind of create your own with the pickles, the slaw, all that stuff. But pulled pork sliders or pulled pork sandwich, anything really pulled pork goes at number three.
if I had a six pulled pork, I had trouble. I wanted to put pulled pork on there really bad, but I had something else I like even a little better at one. I do love me some pulled pork sandwiches. My number two are brats. I
Okay.
just think that beer brats or however you want to, grilled brats, however you want to cook them. Throw some sauerkraut on there, some mustard, maybe some jalapenos. Um, yeah, I'm going number two brats.
So what I did was something interesting. So for my number two, I did hot dog slash brats. So we're kind of
That's
filling
fair.
each other up. We're putting us all together for exactly the same reason you basically just said. Great thing just to carry around, easy to eat. But yeah, brats, hot dogs, just depends on the day. What do I feel? But that's my number two.
All right, drum roll. Number one. My number one is brisket.
Oh,
I
good
think
call.
I think if brisket's made correctly, oh, it's so good. And you get like a
Yeah,
nice tangy barbecue sauce or even a spicy barbecue sauce. You can have it plain. And when I say plain, just like just a brisket, put it on a sandwich. You can do a lot with brisket, but
yeah,
I just I love a good brisket sandwich and a nice cold beer.
yeah. It's a good call. And I will add to this. I think if we would have put drinks in here, alcohol would have been beer would have been right at the top. But we just did foods, so just want to clarify us
Yeah.
tailgating foods on this one. But my number one is anything to do with the chip. So nachos, chips and guac, chips and salsa. I feel like whenever I'm at a tailgate or even just watching football in general, I feel like I always grab the chips, the Tostitos, and dip it into something. I feel like that's probably the first thing I always go to.
I
Nachos,
almost I almost put like a 7 layer dip or like a bean dip
yeah,
kind of thing in there because yeah, the chip is versatile.
yeah. I feel like I just put chip, but it's really any type of chip. It can be nachos, it can be really anything. Guac, it doesn't matter. Usually that's the first thing I go for, and then I go from there.
Well,
So because they're just
nachos. Yeah, I was gonna say
sorry,
nachos are like talk about an easy way to just pile a bunch of chips, throw whatever you want on it, and have people just dig in. So,
yeah, exactly. All right. Well, is there anything you want to add before we sign off here?
just go Wildcats, beat the Weber State Wildcats. I don't think they'll have any issues.
I think you should win that one. So, all right, guys. Well, until next week, guys, have a wonderful weekend watching football week two. Yeah, I don't think I have anything to add as the wind is now kicking up. So I think I'm going to sign off. So we're about to get rain. So.